iPhones have been out for over a month now, and if you're anything like me, you have a pretty hard time deciding if it's actually worth upgrading.
Oh my god. I need it. My iPhone is perfectly fine. Like, I guess I don't really need it. Ugh, but that wide angle though.
The thing is, every time a new iPhone comes out, I feel like it really only has a little better battery life, a little more storage, and a little bit better of a camera. But this iPhone, this one kind of changed the game.
I mean, 3 cameras? I just had to see if this one was worth it for myself this time.
So I've had enough time to test out the 11 Pro and the 11, and I'm gonna let you guys know if it's worth upgrading or not. And if you are considering upgrading to the new phone, should you get the Pro or the regular iPhone 11? I've actually tried them both out now, and I think you guys are gonna be surprised by my answers. So let's get into it. So the iPhone 11 Pro starts at $999, and the iPhone 11 is just $699. So really what we're asking is the Pro $300 better than the 11? By now, you probably already know this, but just in case you don't, the major difference with the new iPhones is the upgraded camera. The Pro has 3 different lenses that you can use, so you can do ultra wide, standard wide, or telephoto, and the regular iPhone 11 just has the ultra wide and the standard wide angle.
So basically, only the Pro has the 3rd telephoto. I think most people know that. But what you might not know is that the other 2 cameras are exactly the same on the Pro and the 11. So the standard wide and the ultra wide, when you look at the specs, they're literally the same. So let's get into what I like that you get from both of the phones.
My absolute favorite thing about both of these phones is how stable it is. When you're shooting on any of these modes, it's as if you're using a gimbal, especially on these wide shots. It's kind of insane. It looks like I was using a Ronin or something like that. Even when you're in the car and the car's kind of shaky, look how smooth it is.
The crazy thing is, it actually does a better job at stabilization than this $2,000–3,000 camera that I'm using, and most $2,000 to $3,000 cameras that I have used. I mean, check this out.
So here's a shot on the camera that I normally use. You can see it's somewhat smooth, but definitely a little shaky.
So then when we get this same shot, just using an iPhone, no gimbal, nothing like that, watch how smooth this is. It is actually crazy.
And here's the shot that we just got on the iPhone 11. You can see that it is really, really smooth. I'm using the ultra wide lens here, but it's very smooth on all of the lenses. Here's a shot comparing them both, and I think we can see here the iPhone 11 Pro is a lot more stable.
So this is one of the main things I found to be a huge upgrade from the iPhone X. All the previous iPhones, the photo camera is pretty good, but when you shoot video, it just is so unstable that I probably would never use those shots in one of my videos. I did a bit of a comparison so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So the ability to get such a smooth shot and the ultra wide lens makes me feel like this is the first iPhone that you could actually vlog on or make YouTube videos on, and it's gonna look actually pretty cool because you have more options with it. You can get different types of shots that you just really couldn't get before. So this intro I'm making right now, I'm shooting on the 11 Pro. Here's with the standard camera. This is the same focal length, I believe, that the previous iPhones had. So for vlogging, it just feels like a little close. So here we have the back camera with the wide angle. So this is gonna be a lot wider. I think it's great for vlogging. So even though I can't actually see myself right now because I'm using the back camera, I find that it pretty much always gets me in focus. Like the autofocus is really good with this phone. So here's a comparison of the front selfie camera to the back camera. As you can see, the quality in both of these is really good and similar to actual vlog cameras. One thing you will notice about those clips though is the audio is still pretty awful. I feel like the audio is maybe a little better than the iPhone X, but in general, it's not really acceptable quality for a YouTube video. And audio actually is really important to a video. Just check out this example. Okay, so here we are just using the selfie camera of the iPhone 11. The quality is pretty good, right? Like, I think the video quality, it's something that I would watch a video of, but the audio is just, it's not that good. And now I'm actually using a microphone, but we still have the video quality from the iPhone. But as a whole, the quality feels better, right? It feels more pleasant to watch. It feels more true to what it would be like if we were in real life. I feel like this is the first iPhone that is good enough to start a YouTube channel with, but the audio is really the only thing that I think you would want to outsource to a microphone. And just a quick search on Amazon, there are like thousands of iPhone microphones that you could use, ranging from like $20 to $150. There is one more thing I don't like about these cameras, and that is using them in low light. I mean, there's just no getting around it. Phones in general are not good in low light. Both with the back camera and the front camera, it looks like a cartoon. It looks grainy. It's not really that good. And this is really because the iPhone doesn't have that big of a sensor. So when we take a look into why this is, it's because you can't fit that big of a sensor in an iPhone. So this is the sensor of the Nikon Z6. It's pretty big when you look at it. It's like about that big. And iPhones, I would guess, is probably like that big. And when the sensor is smaller, it's not gonna be as good in low light. That's why a lot of times micro four thirds cameras are not as good as full frame cameras. You probably don't care about this info, but basically iPhones are not that good in low light. But honestly, it kills it in daylight. Like, it looks very good in daylight, but wow, once it's like just somewhat dark in a room, it just, I don't know, it's grainy. You start to look almost like a cartoon character sometimes. The only exception was this sort of concert footage because there were so many flashing lights and it was slow-mo. It still actually looked pretty good. But most of it, even when it wasn't necessarily low light, but it just wasn't complete bright daylight, like this shot here, the quality decreased drastically. This is a good example of a low light scenario. So a DSLR could handle this. You see what I mean with the cartoon character thing? Like, I, for real, look like, why does it look like that? It's so weird. Another really cool feature about the iPhone 11s is how much you can actually edit the videos and photos that you take. Since they're shot in RAW, you can change the exposure, shadows, contrast, brightness, saturation. You can even change what they call the warmth, which is basically the white balance. So right in the phone, you have a lot of basic editing tools, which is actually really helpful if you are just doing your editing on your phone or on an iPad. Okay, so let's say you don't care at all about the new camera. What else is different about the new iPhone? Is there anything else that makes it worth upgrading to? Not really. I mean, the camera is pretty much the only thing I've found. Basically, what I mean by this is if you don't care about taking photos,
The things I do for a photo on the disgusting ground of LA.
it's really not worth the upgrade. You're probably not going to find that it's much different. But if you do like taking photos, then you are going to love this thing. It's honestly just really fun to play around with. I love playing around with like the different lenses. I love the wide angle. I mean, the camera really is the big selling point here. Of course, Apple has thrown in a bunch of different features like night mode, slow-mo selfies, different things like that, but I haven't found that I use them a whole lot. To me, it's not worth completely upgrading for those other small features. The other thing a lot of people have asked me is if they think it's worth getting the Pro or should they just get the 11. I feel like by this point in the video you can probably tell what I'm gonna say, and it is just get the 11. I don't use the telephoto that much. I do like having it. I like having it for times that I can't bring my DSLR with me to get a nice shot. I think it's good, but I just don't think that you're gonna use it as much as you're gonna use the wide angle or the standard wide. And my sister has the iPhone 11, and let's hear her thoughts on it.
Do you find that you're like, oh, I wish I had the telephoto lens?
Not at all. Like, literally, no part of me wants that. From what I saw from the telephoto on your iPhone, it just looked like it zoomed in a little bit. Like, to me, it just didn't look that impressive and didn't look like anything I wanted to. but I do love the wide angle lens. I feel like that one gives a really nice effect, and basically anytime I pull my camera out in my phone, I see what it would look like as a wide angle as well.
I do that too.
So this answer really didn't surprise me. I think the telephoto is cool and I like it, but it's not really my go-to. I don't use it all that much. So that is it for this video. Hope that you guys enjoyed, and let me know if you're gonna upgrade or if you're gonna stick with your phone, or if you don't even have an iPhone and you don't want an iPhone, just comment down below. Okay, see you guys in my next video. Bye.